having Sean and Ryan just let us do our thing, not only try things and fail, but also try things and succeed.
I lean on that kind of collaboration.
When he drops the music right when the sword comes out, my version, if I was to cut that, I would have hard cut music right back as soon as we caught it. The restraint and discipline for Shane to not bring that back right then and there, and to hold it and let them fight for a second and then bring it in. I wouldn't know if I had the balls to do something like that.
Part of it is just wanting to make it cool.
This is a conversation with the editors of the biggest movie of the summer that you can now watch on Disney+, Deadpool and Wolverine. They showed me how they navigated the organized chaos of what editing a Marvel movie looks like.
Cue the montage, baby.
We break down the massive one-shot fight scene in the movie. And yes, there's a ton of editing going on here. How they completely restructured the Wolverine recruiting sequence to achieve a big laugh. And how they made what was originally an unsatisfying climax into the most emotional moment of the movie.
How do we do that emotionally? We had to shoot plain play for Colossus. Let's just erase everyone and keep him there by himself.
This is the Editing Podcast, brought to you by Riverside. If you're new here, please subscribe. When it comes to constructing a scene like that, what is the process that you guys are having to do, and what were the creative choices you had to make that scene work?
Yeah, way more than you'd think.
Way more than you think. Because it's like, oh, it's a oneer, right?
Come on! Yeah, I blew it.
By the way, this was a shot that Ryan's had in his brain for 20 years, with Madonna track attached to it. It was literally written into the script. Down to the literally shooting it, this thing has been choreographed and planned forever. And what you guys see is not what we actually shot. We chopped out about, I would say, almost a minute of action because it couldn't sustain. That was the foresight then, because when we were shooting the oneer, we both threw flags in the air immediately. And we're like, guys, we're just letting you know, we have zero release now. I have nothing to cut to. There's no other footage I can go to. There's nobody I can go to. I don't have a single. It's all in this one shot. There's nothing I can do later.
Yeah, it just really dragged. When we started showing it to audiences, we felt this like total lull in that moment. How do we cut something that's a oneer, and how do we do it in a way that doesn't feel interruptive to the experience of watching it,
Was it that cut when you chose to cut to that one reaction shot from the blind character?
Motherfucker. I wish I would. Yeah.
Is that how you broke it up?
Yes.
Luckily, Sean had the foresight to shoot something like that, because that was such a off-the-cuff wild idea. And I think he was even in the moment like, I don't know, I'll just get this and I'll have this and it'll be, we'll see if we use it or not, which is such a great educational piece of information from someone who's directed long enough to understand that you have to explore ideas and just get what you can, gather all the materials, because you never know when they're going to be used. So that allowed it to be funny.
Motherfucker. I wish I would. Yeah.
That was shot probably a method and a half before we even shot that scene.
Motherfucker. I wish I would. Yeah.
And it worked. It worked. Ryan's vision came to life and came to the screen.
The film moves at this like sort of tenacity that when you get there, you're like, but then after we made that cut and after we added slight increments of speed to allow the thing to sort of move a little more fluid and sort of help some of the stunt choreography, because sometimes they're on wires and there are limitations to what they can do, even though they did a fantastic job. But then you start to do what is the next chapter of it for us and was so good with Marvel, which is start to get out the imagination paintbrush and start decorating it with visual effects that help the story. You know, there'd be a Deadpool crawling on the ground and we'd be like, can we just chop that guy's leg off and have blood spurting out? They're like, great. Can we add a body part flying here? And so you continue to storytell on top of it and continue to make it exciting and engaging and surprising. I think there's footage right now of Hugh watching it for the first time, like cracking up because it is good.
There was a moment that I really liked when they were all pushed off screen and the music dropped for a moment. What was the choices made to probably make that work?
It was a combination of many, many musical talents. Dean and I would sort of set the timing in which all of this had to work. And then musically, it was like, that was the last thing. It was like, you guys have to try and figure out how to make this work.
Rob did an orchestral suite to accompany the song. We re-recorded the choir. And that's kind of all the ingredients that kind of went into making that song work.
It's a really interesting way of putting it, but I get it now. Hi. I mean, this is a bit awkward because in the interviews that I do, I tend to, try to feel very confident. But before most of those interviews start, this happens. Don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. It's okay, Hayden. It's only one of the biggest editors in the industry that you really want to get into. You're not going to say something stupid and screw up your entire career, are you? Yes, you are, because this is what you do. Oh, no. I mean, why am I even doing this? I'm just a hack. I'm just a fraud. I don't know how to edit at all. Hey guys, this is going to be a great interview. Before every interview, I am absolutely terrified. So it's really important that the equipment that I use works efficiently, and the best tool that just works in the background and pretty much just runs the whole thing is Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one video podcasting studio. I can easily connect with all of my guests and their video feed. And then after that interview, I can very simply gather all of my guests' footage and audio with their multi-track recording system. In simple terms, I have each of the guests' video and audio separately. And now Riverside has changed the game again with their new AI-enhanced video editor that radically cuts down on your editing time. That's the part of the edit that no one wants to do. Let's just let AI do that. Their new editor comes with tons of features, including one of the most underrated, their transcription-based editing. So if a guest goes on an incoherent ramble, or honestly, most likely me doing that, you can search that section to cut and delete it in your video immediately. It's like editing a Word document. It makes editing so much easier. So yeah, I dare you. Sign up to Riverside. It starts off free. And then you can use the code editingpodcast for 15% off. Anyway, thank you for listening. I think this was probably quite rude for me to be doing this in front of the guests. So let's get back to the interview.
Listen, Shane is a master at that stuff as well. Like, I've never really worked with an editor so accomplished with music editing. Shane did it in the Void fight with the AC/DC side.
Fuck.
That was the kind of, oh, we can do this in this movie? Excellent.
Yeah, well, Shane, talk me through that.
All right. Fuck it.
The comedic timing of that and how you kind of needle dropped them in.
Let's fucking go.
I hadn't quite experienced it before, but I loved how
Get your spectral sock out, nerds.
that flowed.
It's gonna get good.
What was that process like trying to get just that timing to work?
AC/DC was on the first assembly that I did of that cut. I made, like Ryan and Sean talk about, a playlist that they made called Logan Pool, I think, that is an incredible long playlist of lots of great music, some of which made it into the film, like Bye 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 was on there. I remember AC/DC, like that opening, it's kind of got a Western feel.
Uh-oh.
Without it being too on the nose Western, and we did try Western and just felt like, oh, okay, guys, we get it. It's a Western scene. And, you had the bells. And you had the no, you just had these little bits that built and the tension built, and you knew that there was this great moment between these two heroes that we were going to watch sort of go at it for the first time. So just had a great tension to it. And then it explodes.
Gotcha.
Those moments of silences were like, I'm really kind of getting into the flow of it, and then there was just this one brutal stab. The way I like to describe it, because I do that type of editing as well, I imagine the band is playing live, and that moment was so violent, it stops them from playing as well. Even the editing is like, oh, this was a bit too much. I don't know if I can cut this.
To Shane's credit, and I'm going to toot his horn a little bit more, but when he drops the music right when the sword comes out, right, and in slow motion, and we catch it. My version of this scene, if I was to cut that, right, I would have hard cut music right back as soon as he caught it and started fighting again. The restraint and discipline for Shane to not bring that back right then and there and to hold it and let them fight for a second. And then bring it in. That was so powerful, and it was, I wouldn't know if I had the balls to do something like that.
You know, part of it is just wanting to make shit cool. I remember putting it together, like, yes, you break it, and there is a natural point where you could catch it and hard cut the music back in, and it is an option. But I remember, like, just going, man, I just want to hear blade on blade right now. Like, that's cool without music. And, you know, and then just the choreography, the stunt choreography of claw pop, stab, is rhythmic. It's musical on its own. So it's like, allow the sound design to be its own music, and then bring the music back in.
It's definitely a masterclass in kind of cutting a choreographed action sequence, to have the foresight to think about sound when you're cutting something to music. Those three elements, right? Picture editing, music, and sound working in pure harmony together. Like, I would say that is a sequence that people should study and watch, because it really is the perfect blend of both. It doesn't happen often, right? And when it does, it's kind of magic.
Let's see you grow your fucking head back.
This is a little awkward. I wanted to recreate the ad from the first Deadpool movie, but the suit, it didn't arrive in time. So I'm just going to do this in my outfit. Hi. So one of the best parts of the Deadpool Wolverine movie was the soundtrack, and especially on that one-take fight scene. And that's really stylized music choices. A mainstream iconic pop song underneath an action sequence. But that isn't something that Hollywood can exclusively do. We as creators can do that ourselves. We're able to do that because of Licked. Licked isn't just another music licensing site. This is a site where you can license mainstream music. And that stylistic choice is going to be the ultimate engagement tool for your videos. Imagine needle dropping Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. That's going to pique anyone's interest, and they're going to keep watching your video. And compared to other music sites, Licked has the largest catalog. I could put Dua Lipa underneath that fight scene. I could put Daft Punk underneath that fight scene. I could put Coldplay's Yellow underneath that fight scene. Okay, actually that might not work. Unless it was in slow motion, then that would be great. There's tons of data that proves that needle drops like this is the ultimate engagement tool. It will get you more views, more watch time, and engagement. And obviously the big elephant in the room answer, when you license it through Licked, you won't get a copyright strike. Licked takes care of the copyright claims, and so all you have to do is just publish. You can purchase the right to use that music in your videos. I would ask for you to give it a go. Take a peek in Licked and see what it can do to improve your video's performance. And as always, you can sign up using the link in the description. So go have a gander through Licked and then come back to this interview. I'll see you in a minute. One of the biggest testaments to the Marvel movies is the teams. It is like the sheer amount of talent you have to bring in to make this work and to make this film efficiently and essentially hit the deadline in a way. And so that's why I know so much prep goes into this film. I think Marvel movies are very famous for the previs and then getting it and then using that all the way up to what would be the finished version. So like, talk me through then for you guys, what was that pipeline like in terms of working on the previs, and what were the creative choices and steps that gets it from almost nothing to then be what I then see on the cinema screen?
Normally, editors come on maybe a week at the most before shooting, so we don't really have time to do stuff like that. On this one, I came on 3 weeks ahead of time. Flew out to London, looked at all the previews, looked at all the stun viz that was being done and edited. We actually didn't have a lot of prep on this, and we didn't have a lot of time. This schedule was unmakeable. It really was. We had 23 weeks in post with 2,000 visual effects shots. Unheard of. Like literally, I've been doing this for 34 years now, and I have never, ever been put up against a schedule this tight ever in that time. And I've done some pretty good stuff.
What was some of like the creative decisions that you then had to make looking at the previs, and then how did that then translate into the final version of the movie?
Because it was a lot of like, this isn't working, this is working, you know, can you go get this? Can we go shoot this? And all of that kind of had a ripple effect, right? So either we would shrink days of shooting or I would make them bigger. And we only had a finite amount of time, and definitely only a finite amount of time with certain actors. And so, you know, like, here's a perfect example, right? The assault on Cassandra. We had a sequence where all the legacy, they come in and the whole big fight. They had a previs, we cut it, they shot it. When we watched it and put it all together, if it wasn't big enough, it wasn't grand enough. Having come off of all these other ridiculous fights that we had, somehow, some way, they figured out a way to give us an extra 2 weeks for the second unit.
Because we were so on top of it and caught up with production all the time, we were just like totally able to tag team and jump in and thrust something forward while the other one took care of something else.
And me and Shane were out there every day going, let's grab this. And we just made the sequence this monster. That it never really was on the page. It was literally going, give me the coolest, craziest shit you've ever thought of and just do it. Just go do it and we'll stick it in there and see if it works, right? Let's put some people on wires. Let's blow shit up everywhere. Like Shane had an amazing idea to service our legacy heroes with Blade. Blade always had a boomerang that he would throw, this knife boomerang that would hit people and come back and he'd catch it and it'd be like this iconic moment. He pitched that to the guys. The next day we went out and shot it in the movie. It was stuff like that. It was like, what can we do? Like, how can we make Gambit's character even better, right? Let's hit him with a friggin' transmission from a car. That was one of those ones where the integration with editorial and production and post-production was so seamless.
The huge success of this film was really just all engines going at all the times to be able to crank out enough volume to put something together. That's the way that soup gets made. You know, it requires a lot of force and communication and collaboration.
But all of this, from my understanding, came from essentially the previs. Like you were working with the previs and you realized the energy isn't quite right here. We can go bigger. And then you guys going, hey, let's go bigger here. Sean, like, I know you're pushing for this. This is the place to do it. All of you guys then talking to each other, and then essentially this is the benefit of what I would call making the movie before you make the movie. You essentially did a reshoot without having to do the first shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're looking at previews, you're looking at a singular scene, and the singular scenes, they work all the time. You get them to work all the time. Do they work in the body of the movie? Is a different story. And that's where the ebb and flow has to happen, right? And to be able, in the flexibility of production, being able to roll with posts going, this isn't good enough, this isn't big enough, this isn't the same thing that happened with and I'll let Shane talk about this, the Wolvie montage, searching for Wolvie.
Logan! I'm gonna need you to come with me.
Who's asking?
Well, look at this little Harry Luretton. Such a cute widow Wolvie. Cue the fucking montage, baby.
We had only 2 beats or 3 beats, previs and storyboarded. We put it together and we're like, we've got more.
Ahoy! Everything seems to be on fire. You have a dragon? Ooh, you have anchor being written all over you.
We need to have more options.
Make a one man weep, make another man sing.
We all kind of got on foot, had a storyboard artist literally come up with 10 different skits, if you will, and we picked 3 of them, and those are the ones we went out and reshot when we came back into production.
This is the moment where Deadpool would just get all these cool Wolverines that everyone's thrilled about and just shit on them and get beaten up by them, and that's the fun of a Deadpool movie, is that we can like pull out this iconic moment. I mean, I hear people in the theater when Hulk comes up, people are just like, get out of here. And then we just use Hulk to just slam him against a tree and get an insult and you're out. And that's what's so fun about the movie is how much it sort of throws some jokes away.
Patch. Now we're talking. Oh, yeah. That's the whole goddamn package right there. Howdy. I'm auditioning anchor beings.
Oh. Yeah, that's gonna need some coconut oil.
So you're setting up some seeds, cutting away from it, and then giving us a punchline like 30, 40 seconds later. What was the structure in trying to make that work, to make that whole sequence work together?
The trick to that sequence was it looked like Deadpool was assembling Wolverines for something. I want this Wolverine, and we're going to do an army of Wolverines, and you didn't really get why he was getting beaten up. Originally in the construct, it was like meet, comment, kill, kill. And it kind of had that pattern. It was a little confusing. We were like, what is happening here? That was not that satisfying. Then it just became about really looking at the words.
I'm auditioning anchor beings.
Oh.
So then we found ways to kind of come into a Wolverine and be like, oh, you look like you're an anchor being.
Ooh, you have anchor being written all over.
What we did after we started to figure out the words was we would like meet apocalyptic Wolvie and then see him immediately beat the shit out of Deadpool to get that like we're now setting up that he's on a search for this anchor being and there's just clearly a history of Wolverine hating Deadpool and we're going to see all these Wolverines killed.
You set up probably one of the biggest seeds, which is the Henry Cavill reveal.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole goddamn package.
Knowing that was the biggest punchline, talk me through again how you probably made that punchline be essentially one of the biggest laughs of it.
We knew that was going to be one of the biggest laughs because he was obviously the biggest cameo, right?
You know, from behind, you look a little bit like Henry. Oh my fuck! The Cavalrine. The legends are true. And may I say, sir, on behalf of all humanity, this just feels right. We will treat you so much better than those shit fucks down the street.
You were just leaving.
No, sir. Not while the fate of my universe is at stake.
The ironic part about it is that whole scene was supposed to come first.
Don't get up, guys. I'll see myself out. Now we're talking. You know, from behind, you look a little bit like Henry. Oh my fuck! The Cavalrine.
And we're like, no, why are we can't, we held the reveal of Henry Cavill to the very end because we all knew like this was something special. We felt it on the day when we were shooting, when he first came in. It's like there was a power there. You have to service those powers, right? We had to restructure that, and having Sean and Ryan just let us do our thing and be creative and have a safe space to not only try things and fail, but also try things and succeed. That's where, again, you get the most successful versions of everything.
I don't like to sort of operate from my ego, so I'm always excited to share something.
Agreed.
And when you have a partner like Dean, you're like, you know, you're just like, dude, just take a quick look at this thing. It's whatever now. And it's just the first audience outside of yourself where you can feel what they're feeling. You can get an honest answer. You both want the same outcome for the film. You know, editing something like that on my own would be hard because I lean on that kind of collaboration. Like big time.
Feedback.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I work with a lot the most, where it's like I've been in probably my cave for about 2 weeks on an edit, and it's at a certain point where it's like, I don't know what's wrong with this
You
anymore.
can't go any further with it, you know? You really can't.
You have to have someone come in and kind of roast and then collaborate, and then you find that solution, and then you go, God damn it, it was right in front of me the whole time, like the way to make it work. Was there a moment for you two where it was like, was there like a cut or a scene that was really hard that you were trying to crack, and then just with that collaboration, you done made it work?
Yeah, the big power room scene at the end was the trickiest. Ryan and Sean had told me that they wanted this Madonna choir and are we going to be tired of Madonna? We're going to have used it like twice now. And so I had convinced myself that I had this Journey song for it. You know, it's like these guys ripping their shirts off and abs and everything. And I had convinced Sean that this song worked. I had convinced Dean that this song worked. And then we went in and we played the cut for Ryan. It was like kind of our first assembly. And I was so mad at myself because it just looks like a music video with Deadpool and Wolverine in it. No emotional punch to it. And similar to what Dean was saying about the attack on Cassandra's, it was like, everything's leading to these big moments. And we're like, God, we have these huge characters. And so it took like Dean and I really sitting down and going like, okay, like, what do we need? What does this sequence need? And we were like, how do we start to tell a story of this timeline's being destroyed? There are stakes here. They're losing the things that they love. How do we do this? I remember telling Sean, I think I need to start like inside Deadpool, figure out what is emotional to him, and then start building. This is where Dean is just the best partner. He's like, that sounds like a cool idea. Let's run with it. Like, what do you want me to do? So then Dean goes in, starts looking at plates, starts building sequences of like people disappearing in rooms, and we start to go, oh,
like, we're not going to show the typical Marvel, like, oh, the world's getting, disappearing and all that kind of stuff. But how do we do that emotionally between our characters?
Wade, you can finally matter.
Yeah, we would look at like the birthday party and we'd have plates and stuff for Colossus, right? We had to shoot clean plates, and I was like, let's just erase everyone and keep him there by himself. So I was just doing really quick temps and like feeding him to Shane. I'm like, here, check this out. Check there. Okay, you can do this one. We can do this one. It took a second to crack it, but once we did, we all kind of went, are you crying too? Because it was so emotional, just the journey that we went on to get there, but also just that we pulled it off with kind of not really having the footage that we needed, but we just made it.
What it is to me is similar to what Cassandra's is, and I've gotten this compliment from Ryan, and it meant a lot. But it's that you have to listen to what the film is telling you. This thing is asking more, so let's just dig and keep digging and unearthing ideas that are within it. That exploration, yes, it's maddening at times. It requires a lot of brain power, but when you do get it, you do accomplish it, and you do discover something more within the film, that's when you feel like you've done the work.
Well, it worked. It worked. It did hit me. Like you gave me tears. Like I was like, it felt like a beautiful moment of celebrating the Fox universe. Yeah, you got me. I hate you for making me cry in a cinema, but thank you.
Right? But we've done our job, so that's...
You're welcome.
And yes, exactly. You're welcome.